In this week's episode, I was joined by Clare Ryan, the CEO and co founder of ITUS, a cybersecurity company. And today we're going to discuss Clare's journey from studying a PhD to transitioning to the world of IT and everything in between. This episode is brought to you by Top Drawer Talent, the supply chain procurement recruitment specialist. Here we go. So today I'm joined by Claire, or Dr. Clare Ryan, who's the CEO and co-founder of ITUS. And today we're just going to talk about Claire's journey from employee to entrepreneur, but also your career and how you got started in the career that you're in at the moment. So thanks very much for coming in, Claire. Much
Hi,
appreciated.
thanks for having me.
No problem. So look, obviously you're a CEO and co-founder of ITUS, but let's pull it back a little bit, okay? So how did you end up where you are today? Like, what, like coming out of school, did you know this is what you wanted to do, or was it always on the radar for you?
So when I was at school, I kind of played 50-50 with two different career paths.
Okay.
I was interested, actually, believe it or not, in business and history and politics.
Okay.
And then I was also interested in science. So I was educated in Northern Ireland, so it was kind of an interesting way to go.
Yeah.
I was first in my family actually to stay on at school after 16. So
Okay.
doing the whole A-level route was very much unknown and not a lot of support in behind it. But at the time, my dad had a market stall that we used to flog fruit and veg at the side of the road. Okay. So traveling up and down to the wholesalers in Dublin and Belfast and bringing stuff back twice a week and then just trying to turn a bit of money out the other side.
Yeah.
And people used to think we grew this in the back garden, but I actually grew up in a council house.
Okay.
So none of this stuff was grown by ourselves, but
Yeah.
the narrative went with it. And I quite liked the business side of it. So I really did struggle with playing with, will I go into business and do something with that? But actually, I enjoyed the passion of science.
Oh, okay.
So I did pure sciences, chemistry, biology, and physics, and went down that particular route. So I hadn't initially kind of got an idea of going into cyber or into the sector or wanting to own my own company, but I was always interested in trying to make a bit of money and trying to get out of where I was and how I got to the next step.
Okay, that's good. And then was it you decided then after your GCSEs it would have been
Mm-hmm.
for your A levels to focus on science subjects,
Yep.
and then college then it was Queen's, was it? You went to
Went to Ulster.
Ulster University.
Yeah, up in
Okay.
the north coast. Studied at Clare Ryan, and I did degree called biomedical sciences. So I played with the idea of doing medicine for a while and really liked the idea of doing medicine. But I thought I couldn't be the person to come in and say I couldn't save your mum or your child. And I thought I can't disengage from that emotional baggage. So went
Yeah.
down biomedical side. So that's kind of where you get your bloods done at the
Okay.
GP, and they tell you if you're anemic or if you're having a cancer diagnosis. They're actually the people that do that hardcore lifting
Okay.
on behalf of the doctor. So did that and was really interested in a placement year. Okay, so the idea was that you could go into some of the hospitals to train up, or you could do a bit of research, or you could go to the States or Australia. So I went, well, I'm going to go to Australia because that's as furthest that you could go with
Okay.
it, and went out there and did that.
So you're out in Australia then for a year, were you?
Yep.
And was that just purely a work placement, or was it like a
Yeah.
move like to work?
No, it was a work placement. So I
Okay.
actually went to work in another university and got to work with some veterinary science departments doing a little bit of research. Obviously, veterinary science is massive in Australia. They have big exports that go out there. So got involved in that, got to go out practically into lots of abattoirs and different farm sites and stuff and take some samples and then travelled around. So it was the case of absolutely blow the student loan and see as much of the world as you can
Yeah.
and try and learn a bit as you go along.
And was it a paid placement out in Australia? Or?
Nope,
No.
nope, no.
Okay, so
And
self-funded kind of thing. Yeah.
and that didn't go down well at home.
No.
And I ended up with a huge amount of debt at the end of university. But it's about the life experience for me. I could never have done it otherwise. So
Yeah.
again, it was that idea of trying to be a wee bit innovative when I got out there. So
Right.
I actually managed to get myself then like a part-time visa job and got
Okay.
paid for some of the research that we did. And then we played around with some other kind of ad hoc money making ideas when we were there to keep us alive.
And was there many is out there from your college year, or was it just you?
No, there was two of us actually. Me and my
Okay.
mate went. Now she got to work for Mars, looking at chocolate and the positive effects of chocolate on kind of cardiovascular disease. So instead of telling you
Right.
not to eat chocolate, it was about eat good quality chocolate. So she had this fab time testing all these different chocolate products and everything else, and I was in the abattoir knee deep in bits and pieces of animals.
Yeah,
So
jeez.
it was great crack.
Yeah, I'd say so. And did you was it a Monday to Friday kind of setup out there, or was it like were you working weekends, or were you just out enjoying the weekends?
No,
Or
no,
looking
very much Monday to Friday and that
Okay.
9 to 5, and then the weekends then were yourself and in the evening time. So you got to meet loads of different people and everybody
Yeah.
because typically when you're Irish and you're traveling, everybody loves to have you around. You're
Yeah.
like a show and tell specimen. So we got to meet loads of people, and people were really generous with accommodation for us, and we got a couple of cars given to us so we could travel around,
Nice.
and then did as much as we possibly could fit in that time period out there.
Brilliant. And then did you have to come back home then to finish college or?
Yeah, back for the final year
Okay.
then, and into the serious work then of trying to get the degree across the line, and then deciding then what you wanted to do. So you could have actually trained up to go into hospitals or stay in research, and I opted to stay in research actually, and that's where my PhD came out of. So
Okay.
I stayed on to look at the development of the brain and how animals come together and why some animals don't have cancer and other more complex animals like ourselves then have lots of different diseases where the brain will die off or you have cancers that are generated within them.
Okay. Yeah. So interesting stuff. But did it take you long then to complete the PhD, or did you have to go through a master's program first, or how did that kind of
Didn't
work?
do masters at that
Okay.
point. Now I skipped straight into PhD because I thought
Okay.
it was being brave. So did my PhD in 3.5 years, but had my first child in my first year of my PhD.
Okay.
Bought a house and bought a house in the second year. Got married in the third year and was pregnant with my son when I finished my PhD. So I had a bonkers time
Yeah.
doing the
Jesus.
PhD as well.
Oh, I said it was hard to get through. Fair play.
Yeah, it was different. Life sometimes just takes over.
Yeah.
But I suppose I wanted the PhD. I wanted to have it done, and I didn't do it for the title or the glory. Some people will say, "Oh, they always wanted to be a doctor."
Yeah.
I actually just liked the research,
Okay.
and I liked the area of study that I was in.
Right.
And by the time I got to the end of it, I thought, I'm done with this area of study now. I've learned everything that I wanted to learn out of
Right.
it, and took a different direction after that
Yeah.
again. Then.
And then you worked in the college then during that time, did you, or was that kind of after the PhD?
So you do bits and pieces whenever you're doing your
Okay. Yeah.
PhD, kind of supporting other students. But I actually came into a program that worked with students who were first time university attendees.
Oh, okay.
So it was this program that reached out to students who lived in areas of high deprivation or had
Yeah.
really complex family situations or were looked after children who are care experienced at some point in their life,
Okay.
to try and open up the horizons to different career paths and give
Yeah.
them that opportunity. So I had worked with both Ulster and Queens in that, and the idea was that
Right.
if your family have never gone to higher education, then you might not know anyone who's actually become a lawyer or a GP or who's gone into start their own business. And if that's not known to you, you can't see yourself in that career path.
Yeah, that's very
So
true.
the whole idea was if you can open up their mind and they can get to know that people with their, like Dr. Clare is an ordinary person that you see in Tesco's,
Yeah.
then they can aspire to be like that. And then we provided the assistance to get them there, both in terms of their academics that they needed to get there and then some financial bursary support as well for them.
Oh, okay. How would someone like that was like a first generation like university goer like go about getting onto a course like that? Like, was it just that something that like your school would offer if you got the A levels, or
Yeah,
was it
so
at the GCS stage they had that conversation?
we worked with them just after their GCSEs,
Ah,
okay? And
okay.
the programs that I worked on, initially I developed STEM programs actually to
Okay.
help actually supplement those qualifications that they were doing.
Yeah.
And we would have worked with particular schools and they would have identified then young people who were most in need. So they had a level of academic ability. They had an aspiration to change their life and do something different. They just didn't know how they were going to get to that point, and that's where we would have came in. And then when I went to work in Queens, we broadened that,
Yeah.
and we did it in law. We did it in computer science. We were first time ever doing it in lots of different disciplines for Russell Group University, and that program still exists today. And
Yeah.
kids get into Queens with 2 discounts on their grades. So instead of needing 3 A's to get into law, you can get in with an A and 2 B's.
Okay.
And you get a bursary to help with all those financial burdens, getting a laptop and getting the right clothes to wear and things like that whenever you go into uni.
Yeah. And is that something that's UK wide now, or is it just specific to the north of Ireland, or?
Well, there are different access programs, and there would be similar in the Republic of Ireland,
Yeah.
but those two ones are specific to
The north.
Northern Ireland.
Okay.
And both of those now I had started out.
Okay. And were you like the first person in that job to kind of initiate the program, or
No,
it
no.
was
Well,
already
well,
pre-approved or
with
already in play?
Ulster one, that was a program that we had enhanced over the years and
Yeah.
come through, and then we started to work with primary school kids actually.
Oh, okay.
So I spent quite a lot of time doing some fun science activities where we would have blew up things or set fire to things or created different towers and had competitions with them so they could get an idea of how fun STEM could be.
Yeah.
The one at Queen's was the first time ever it was done, and
Right.
it was an idea that I had proposed and they didn't think they would go with it, but they went with it, and it's been really successful.
Yeah, yeah, because it's kind of look, education is the great equalizer, right?
It is, and there is still an awful imbalance
Yeah.
when particularly if your mum or dad isn't a doctor or a teacher, and your mum or dad is only working in Tesco's, and like my parents never had any higher education experience, they left school before 16.
Yeah.
And it's very hard then to understand how you get there when there's nobody at home guiding you. And for an awful lot of kids, that's still the situation, that there isn't anyone at home that has that knowledge to guide them. And if somebody doesn't take them under their wing, they
Yeah.
get lost in the system.
Yeah. How did you find it like being like a first generation university goer? Was it hard at home? Like, were they kind of like, why would you do that? Or go ahead and push forward? Or is it a mix of both?
Well, I think there's always an aspiration as a parent that you want your children to do more than what you
Yeah.
did and be better than what you were at a particular age. But like, there was no one to help me with homework at home.
Okay.
That wasn't
Yeah.
that wasn't done. It was kind of like, did you not ask the teacher? And I still remember when I came in and said I was going to walk away from a public sector job with a pension to start a business. Both of my parents at the time thought I was mad, and actually said, please don't do that. So
Yeah.
I left Queen's to actually come and start up a business, and they were like, "That's please don't do it. Stay where you are. Would you not just keep in
Yeah.
the job?" Because that mindset of older people, particularly, is
The security.
yeah, you get paid every month, and in startup land, that's not always the case.
No, it's definitely not. But yeah, like it would have been probably similar for myself. Like obviously left school at 16. I was in actually a decent school, in fairness. But yeah, just school just wasn't for me. I wanted to make money, and
Yeah.
I just seen the army. But then after realizing then, or bumping into people that had like done the law degree or whatever, kind of, and the army does help kind of push it forward. So I was like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna go do this. But at home, it was kind of like, there's easier jobs out there. You're in a great job. Why are you looking to leave?
Yeah.
The pension. So yeah, it can be hard. And difficult for people to understand as well, because like years gone by, it would have been public sector job. It's safe, secure, job for life.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. And it's very hard for people to understand and see the bigger picture,
Yeah.
because the bigger picture doesn't always work out for everyone.
No.
Particularly when you go into business or a different career direction, you think like, what have I done? And you change again. But I think even the mindset now of careers have changed.
Yeah.
Like I've got 2 teenage kids, and I keep saying to them, it's 5 years for a career, learn enough skills to move in a different direction. The idea of
Yeah.
staying in one job for your entire life scares me to death.
Or yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I don't think it's it wouldn't be for me anyway. But I think we're seeing like people like move jobs now a lot more, right? Every like 3 years they're kind of moving on.
Yeah.
You have to put redundancies in place now if you're a business owner now for that to happen with your staff. Look, it is what it is. But after you finished in the colleges, then what did you do then after you finished in the colleges? Where you were working in business development or project management for a while?
I did. I went actually. I went into an IT company
Okay.
to work with the idea of taking a share of the IT company.
Okay.
My co-founder worked in that IT company as well, and we thought like, well, this is something maybe we would look to do maybe moving forward. So I went in to do business development with it,
Okay.
and it was around the time GDPR was coming out, 2018.
Oh, okay.
And it was really interesting because people were actually ringing up and asking, did the IT guys know anything about this GDPR and marketing? Because everybody focused on like consent for marketing.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was bonkers that like small businesses couldn't get their heads around this, because it was something that was very easily understood to me. We'd been gearing up for it in the universities, and we understood very clearly the controls you had to have in place.
Right.
And I thought, we're back to the imbalance again. If somebody doesn't know who's taking you under your wing to shelter you, to
Yeah.
help you. And there was lots of really vulnerable businesses out there that were hemorrhaging money to various people for advice, and none of the advice was right or accurate.
Okay. This is for when GDPR is being
Yeah,
implemented. Okay.
yeah, when it first came out.
Jeez. Okay. So is that when you decided then to specialize then in information governance or?
So what I realised was, look, there was a gap in the market really for security services for
Okay.
small businesses in particular. Okay, so you'll get this as a small business owner. It's really challenging to earn a quid.
Yeah.
So you look after the money that you bring in. The last thing you want is for somebody to be sharky and take that money off because you didn't know any better and you thought they were genuinely helping you. And that was happening quite a bit. And I got involved quite early on in a small pro hire company
Okay.
that had been hit with a cyber attack. So they'd advertised a job on their Facebook page.
Okay.
And it was like, drop your CV into info at blah blah. And all the CVs were coming in, and the guy clicked on the CVs and it downloaded a piece of ransomware and it ran through the company. Right. And it cost them $7,000 to get
Oh.
themselves back up and running. Now, they weren't a huge company, and 7,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money,
Yeah.
but it is when you haven't budgeted for that.
Yeah.
You're taking that completely out of any profit that you have.
Can seriously impact your cash flow as well
Yeah.
if you're a small business.
And then you're also saying, you clicked on that.
Yeah.
You did it. And there's the emotional side that goes with that, So I just thought like there needs to be something better done with it. So
Okay.
that's where kind of coming out with the information management and cybersecurity company came up with it. And at the same time, I had seen a master's advertised in data protection and data governance for financial services. And
Okay.
I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind doing that. And I went back as an adult returner for that,
Yeah.
and I was had to apply with. So I obviously wasn't a lawyer, I wasn't an accountant, I didn't have an IT background,
Yeah.
so I had to go through prior learning approval for
Oh,
it.
okay.
And I was literally hoping and praying that they would take me in because I have a rare CV for it.
Yeah.
And eventually I got accepted onto that course.
Great.
And I loved it. That was really interesting course.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
And were you back to college then full time, or was this at night time, or like
So
part
it was
time?
part time, but it was basically
Okay.
9 o'clock to 6 o'clock on a Friday, and we got 40 minutes for lunch.
Okay.
So I
Pretty
built the
intensive.
startup Monday to Thursday.
Ah, okay.
And then I was in college all day
College.
Friday, plus doing assignments and everything else. And that was for master's level.
Ah, okay.
So there's quite a lot of work that goes along with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Jeez. Okay, so pretty intensive. And ITUS now, right? Who are you guys and what are you guys doing?
Yeah, so ITUS is a cybersecurity company.
Yeah.
We're named after the Greek god of protection.
Okay.
So we get everything from ITUS to ITUS to everything else, but we're actually ITUS after the god of protection.
Okay.
And what we do is we offer two sides of it. We do consultancy services for small businesses to do with managing their cybersecurity. So we'll go in and we'll look at a company and we'll put the controls in place that they need to protect them, and then we'll manage them for them. And then the second side is we've built a piece of software that helps to actually quantify the level of risk in small businesses
Okay.
for cyber insurance. Okay.
Okay.
So if you're in small business and you're looking to tender now on anything, you'll see that there's a requirement to have cyber insurance, or some of your suppliers will ask you, have you got a cyber insurance policy in
Yeah.
place? So if anything goes wrong for them, basically that they can sue you and get the money back. The difficulty is that the insurers at the minute are actually getting you to self-disclose what your controls are. So most people don't know. So I spend quite a lot of time filling out for various businesses in the legal sectors and financial services sector what level of security they have, and then the policy gets generated. But that's flawed because it depends on what I tell you you have.
Ah, okay.
It's how much of a price you pay. So if I misdisclose and say you're very well protected, you might find that your policy doesn't pay out later on when you actually need it to do.
Oh, okay. And I know that is it on one particular framework, or like if it's ISO 27001, or is that completely different, or
No. It's an interesting one. So we actually we have a security score that looks like a bit like a credit score.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
Okay.
you can see how good you are compared to your peers. And we've based that around the NIST 2 cybersecurity framework.
NIST.
Okay. ISO 27001 is an internationally recognized standard. So you'll get a lot of companies going towards that.
Yeah.
Chunky in terms of price,
Yeah.
okay, in terms of getting all the controls that you need in place, and then having somebody audit and maintain that certification. So you find that unless you're a certain size organization, you'll not do that. I know there's a movement locally in Ireland to bring in cyber essentials that they have in the UK.
Yeah.
So the National Cybersecurity Centre here looking to bring in something very simple that most businesses can actually try to achieve,
Okay.
and give them some guidance. And we kind of play in and around that level at this moment in time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we would get asked for it's basically like an IT audit that you would conduct essentially,
Yeah.
see what the controls are in place, and then do you issue the accreditation then, or do they have to go? Is that a separate thing then?
So our software then we'll share the data with your insurance industry, and that's how they'll use that then as part of their underwriting process to give you your premium price. So in terms of those certifications, then with it, we wouldn't be a certifying body. As I say, it's immutable data to augment underwriting process with it.
Yeah.
But most people then will do actually someone will check that everything is in place and actually give you out the certification at the other side.
Okay. And what's the benefits, right, to an organization to have one of these kind of policies or procedures in place?
The real benefit is you're trying to reduce your threat landscape,
Yeah.
okay, and prevent something going horribly wrong. And if it does go wrong, that you've limited the amount of damage that you've actually incurred as a company so that you can survive it. There's been some horror stories where companies have gone under
Yeah.
when something has gone wrong because their reputation hasn't survived it. Either they were neglectful in what they had set up, or they just didn't know something had happened, or they didn't react in the right way. So
Okay.
that's the tangible benefit. It's very hard for businesses to see that because you're going, well, where's the profit? What much money am I making? What difference is it making to my sales? Because you're handing out a chunk of money for a security element.
Yeah.
But in reality, really secure companies do actually attract higher value sales because you'll deal with a different type of client who appreciates that you have everything covered in the way that you should have it covered.
Yeah.
And you're able to charge slightly more for that because you've provided services and input into making it secure.
Yeah. And the reassurance then as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. And then, have you guys started to hire staff, or do you have an active product, or like have you launched, or?
So our product is live now at
Okay.
at the minute, and we're trying to get as many users on board as possible. So anybody who's a small business who would like to try it can reach out to me on LinkedIn. We have started to hire some staff.
Okay.
We currently have 4.5
Okay. Fine.
staff, as I
Yeah.
say here. And then we have a team of 6 then who sit in Poland who do a bit of software for us.
All right. Brilliant.
What we always have done is actually bring in interns
Yeah.
or people from college who need placements. So we've had really good success before where some of our interns have been BT Young Scientist winners
Oh.
who have
Okay.
reached out and come in to work with us for a year to develop their own skill set and learn more about the startup land
Yeah.
and how it works. So we're always keen to look at different backgrounds in terms of where people come from and what they can bring to our table.
Yeah. When you would have been interviewing these guys or girls and giving them kind of an opportunity, what would you have looked for when you're kind of sitting down to have a chat with them, like when you're interviewing them?
In all honesty, we look for aptitude. Okay, the ability to learn quickly and see a bigger picture with it. There's no straight qualification that'll work for me. Okay,
Yeah.
and I say that, and I really do genuinely mean it. We've had guys who have no higher education experience, but tons of practical experience in the workplace and have worked in different places.
Yeah.
And we've had people come in with foundation degrees and we've helped to put them through their full degree. And we've had students come in after leaving cert. We've had students who have master's degrees who have come in to work with us. We've had people who have changed career directions and have done Kickstarter courses and come back in to work with us. But a big thing for me is someone who is willing to be part of the team because every day is different in cyber.
Yeah.
Every day is different. Somebody who understands that their personal integrity is really important to what we do.
Yeah.
And somebody who is willing to learn with the aspiration of looking to move on in 5 or 6 years' time.
Okay.
I'm a great fan of come and work with me and get as many skills as you can so that you can get on to the next pay point somewhere else and move forward with your career.
Okay. Brilliant. And have you, I suppose, do you have any killer interview questions that you would ask in an interview, or anything that you like people to answer, or?
I normally asked about, can you tell me your understanding of GDPR?
Okay.
And it's a deadly question because everybody drains in colour.
Yeah.
And you can see people going, I've heard of it. What can I come out with? But for me, it's a really interesting thing. It's not necessarily do you know a regulation or a law.
Yeah.
It's do they understand how that applies to them personally?
Okay.
Do they think about where their data is?
Yes. Yeah.
Do they think about how it's been used in other ways? Are they conscious about signing up to different apps and what they're used for? What country is holding that data?
Yeah.
It's a much broader question than simply, I know there's X number of regulations and it's to do with this.
Yeah. Because does this also apply, like, if like the cookie banner pops up on the website and you accept all, is that the kind of thing that consents?
Yeah. So I always get really fascinated when people, like at the minute, the big thing is generative AI and everybody's going like, it's fabulous. And I was at a startup accelerator program recently and we're developing a silent pitch deck as part of a competition. And the guy had said, develop your pitch deck and put it in to chat and see if they come back with the same findings that you thought was there. And you lose all your IP when you do that because you're giving over all of your information. So
To the system.
some of the startups actually went ahead and developed their silent decks with all of the outline of their IP and their strategy about where their business is going to go and some of the financial predictions, and threw it into some of the online open AI tools and got feedback. But sure, that's the information out in the ecosystem.
Okay. So it's gone.
It's an interesting thing for me. So that's why I always asked about GDPR and what it actually means to you and what you understand about it.
Yeah, because I think it's called like when you're constantly clicking on accept all for cookies, it's consent fatigue.
It is. Yeah, nobody
basically.
reads everything.
Yeah.
They just click on it, and it's like as soon as you can scroll to the bottom, accept, move me on to the next
Yeah,
screen.
just to get access.
And there are still occasions where people will automatically sign you up to things. It kills me actually when you're looking to download information off websites and they make you put your email address in. It's a gated piece of content.
Yeah.
That fries my head, and I'll try every type of email under the sun before I'll actually give over my own email address to get the information through.
Yeah, because your email address now is becoming like an important piece of information, right?
It's a critical piece of information, and the number of people who don't realize their email address is personally identifiable information, and the number of businesses who don't take it seriously. Oh, it's only an email address, right? That's tailored probably to 50 other accounts that person has set up.
Yeah, jeez. And your whole journey then, right? So from becoming like an employee in a public sector job to now kind of becoming an entrepreneur, was that journey hard for you? Like kind of in mindset, switching the mindset, or like how did you find the whole journey?
Yeah, no, it was really difficult.
Okay.
Okay, so my husband's my co-founder.
Okay.
So whenever we said we were starting up a business, we both lost the job we were in that day.
Oh, okay.
So we had mortgage, car payments, phone payments, you name it, and no income.
Jeez.
That went on for about 6 months.
Fuck.
So I'm sure this will come back to haunt me, but for the first couple of weeks, we still got up and got dressed as if we were going to work, so we
Right.
could leave the kids into school, so they didn't know what was going on, and then came back home and then thought, what are we going to do to make money? Like we
Yeah.
need to make money today. So it was a big wake up call. You can plan for so many things, but you can never plan for the reality of taking that initial jump of letting go of
Yeah.
your weekly salary or monthly salary into solely surviving on the business.
Yeah. Burning the boats. Did you expect that when you declared that you're gonna, start a business that you would lose your job the same day, or was it
No, no, no. See, the
unforeseen?
plan was like obviously in your head when you run through the scenarios
Yeah.
that, yeah, I would step out for maybe 6 months and then he would be 6 months behind me. So by that point, we would be able to manage and we would have built up
Bit of a
something,
buffer. Yeah.
but that just didn't happen.
Okay.
So yeah, there was a huge change, and that's what you can be very academic with. This is how you run a business, and obviously you're going to get customers because you're going to put an ad on Facebook, and then all these customers are going to come and spend their money with you.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work like that, and things take much longer. Everybody will say it. It takes longer than you anticipate. It does take longer than you anticipate.
Yeah. I'd say it was quite tough. Did it take you like you've obviously went through the whole investment stage and doing different accelerators. What is an accelerator? Or,
So the purpose of an accelerator
yeah.
is to jump forward your business.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll find that there are lots of them that are around that are called maybe early stage.
Yeah.
Okay, and that might be people who are still at the concept stage and they're trying to get that kind of formalized business concept together and maybe search out for those early day customers or early adopters. And then you'll get some that are really at the scale stage, normally where you have kind of secured some funding about seed stage.
Yeah.
So anywhere between 500,000 maybe and 2 million. And they're looking to get you then moving forward into maybe having a team of 30 or 50 and then starting to turn towards that £1 million in revenue.
Okay. And is it hard to kind of move? Is it hard to secure funding at seed stage? Or is it difficult and you just kind of have to work through and
Um, so I find it challenging, right? I
yeah.
think comes down to personality and it
Yeah.
comes down to luck. Okay,
Okay.
so you'll hear people talk about family and friends and fools to give you that first kind of cash injection. That's great, right? If you've got family who've got wealth,
Yeah.
right? Like that's not my family.
Yeah.
There's the majority of them are still in council estates. Like that's just not something that's
Yeah.
there for us. So you don't have friends. So most of my friends are also first generation professionals.
Yeah.
So that wealth isn't there for them either. So you don't
Okay.
have that network to say, could you invest 100 grand in my company?
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen. Other parts of the country, that very much is the case. They'll have people to get them going.
Yeah.
Some people have been incredibly lucky and money has come really quickly to them, and then they found out later on there was baggage with that money that they didn't see. It's
Yeah.
not easy to navigate. I do think there are some really supportive angels out there and some really interesting supportive funds. A lot of sharks as well.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's back to who do you trust to guide you on?
Yeah. How did you kind of move through that system, like with finding who to trust and what to do and what not to do? Is that because you're like very strong academically, right? And then doing the information governance that you kind of just read through the terms and conditions of everything that was offered, or were you kind of just taking what was coming?
So,
Is it a bit about?
No, like it's like dating. People, lots of people talk about it's like dating. You get to know people.
Yeah.
Okay. It takes a long time for you to trust people.
Mm.
I think sometimes people will string you along unless you put your foot down and say, look, either this is a goer or it's not.
Yeah.
But there is one thing I've definitely noticed now, and it's not just me. I've heard of a couple of different people. I think female entrepreneurs in particular are particularly vulnerable to rogue angel investors,
Okay.
okay, who tend to be men.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it
Okay.
out.
Fair enough.
So I know of a couple of people, and I've had experience myself of people who present themselves as high net worth individuals,
Okay.
take up an awful lot of your time. Okay, you're interested thinking, okay, they've got an interest in me, there's potential investment here. So you're trying to be nice and you're trying to nurture that along. At some point, you're starting to exchange information. Then you start to exchange maybe a wee bit sensitive business information with that person.
Yeah.
And then maybe it turns out that this person actually has no money or has done this to other people and has cleared off. Okay,
Okay.
so um, part of it is a gut feeling. Part of it is do your due diligence on who you're talking to. You know,
Yeah.
where did they get their money from? Who have they invested in before? Just because they're showing interest in you doesn't mean that there's anything tangible there. It
Yeah.
is your business and you have to try and protect it. So dig, like they take a hand at me in the office because they think I'm so nosy.
Yeah. Fair
So
enough.
I will go through everything.
Yeah.
I'll try and find out as much as I can possibly know about somebody. I'll actually ring up all their people and say, how did you meet that person? How do you know them?
Yeah.
And I'm getting better at calling out the difficult questions, you know.
Okay. Did,
Yeah.
did you think, I suppose, as a woman, right? Did you think, did you find it hard to call out those people or ask the hard questions because you're a woman, or is it a personality type thing that you just weren't comfortable with it, or you're just unfamiliar with the landscape?
Well, I had a gut feeling with one particular person, but like I asked about 6 people.
Yeah.
My gut is telling me there's something off here.
Okay.
Obviously, in cyber, you also have to be very acutely aware of money laundering.
Yeah.
Uh, in cyber, you know, you have to be clear where that money has come from before you take it into your business, or your business will be going very, very quickly on it.
Yeah.
And I got a wee bit cross because lots of people were like, no, 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 this person is genuine. I think it's easier for them to target females. Okay.
Okay.
I think they wouldn't attempt to target men as much because a man is more likely to bump back, where
Yeah.
a woman will still be, I don't like it, but we'll go another step to try and get to the end game. I just think
Okay.
it's very telling that I could name you about 6 females who've been caught in different ways.
Okay. And you're part of like different kind of female entrepreneur groups or
Yeah.
kind of networking groups. How have they kind of helped you and kind of steered you in the right direction? Have they been useful or?
Yeah, they're useful in two different ways. I think like the
Okay.
days when it's the hard going days where you just need to vent and
Yeah.
moan, you normally get somebody there,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
And they're women are perfectly open to being honest. You know,
Yeah.
men will tell you, "Oh, we're smashing it," and like we're on track for 1 million. Yeah, they might have earned 20 grand, but they're on track for 1 million.
Yeah.
Where women will just tell you, "I've had a nightmare today, and this has happened, and we are running out of money, and things are very, very tight." So I've really good networks in lots of different ways. Where
Yeah.
maybe I'd only speak to people 2 or 3 times a year, or I'd meet them at a conference, but you're automatically back in the same kind of circle with them.
Yeah.
And then they're also, I find female groups really competitive. Now, this might be just me, right?
Yeah. Okay. You probably want to win all the time.
But that's it,
Yeah.
right? You're kind of going, well, she got that, so I need to get that plus one more.
Yeah.
And I think that's good as well. You know, it's good for driving you forward. Or you'll ask them straight out, right? Well, how did you get that conversation? Like, where did you find that contact? And they'll share that with you.
Yeah.
So I do think that's good there.
Okay. Yeah. So they're definitely. And are you? I know there's female ones, but are you a member of other mixed entrepreneur groups or?
Yeah. So I'm
Okay.
connected in with a large mixed group, particularly in cyber in the UK.
Okay.
They are funny now.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really interesting watching dynamics. The typical things that they talk about male and female founders that to be honest, I would have said that's not the case. You know, But no, I've seen some of it where like male founders have said like they get nothing done on a Thursday because they have to pick up the kids from school. So Thursday's a write off because that's their day for picking up the kids.
Okay, so no work happens that day.
And you're like, right, because everybody else picks them up 5 days, but sure, that's okay. So
Yeah,
mindset, but it's interesting to watch it from a distance and you're kind of going, oh, okay, I see how things work. Because ultimately, it's a mixed playing field. Everybody's
yeah,
going after the same pools of money. Everybody's trying to bring a business into the same ecosystem.
yeah.
So you have to try and understand both point of views.
Yeah. You've won a couple of awards in the UK, have you? Or
We've won, like, we punch above our weight, as I say,
yeah,
for being such a small company. So
small joints.
we have won a number of awards, yeah. Fluked them, as I would have said.
Oh,
But
okay.
we have done it. So we were Zurich's Innovation Champion in Ireland. At one point, we won Cyber with the National Cybersecurity Centre in the UK, that was a fluke. We were up against guys who were protecting airports from drone attacks and securing AI, and researchers from Cambridge who had done quantum computing security. And for some mad reason, they gave us the title of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been interesting.
Brilliant. What was the process to go through to kind of win the award? Did you just kind of enter, or did you have to do a project, or?
No, so for the one for the NCSE, there were 10 startups from throughout the UK that were invited to actually come along to their major conference. So
Okay.
that put you in the mix, and then you had a 2 minute no slides pitch to actually take part. So no notes, no slides. So you had 2 minutes to actually convince then key panel members from NCSE and the UK government why your solution would work.
So your time in the fruit stall's paying off now.
Well, that was exactly it, you know.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake when I went into the room. I didn't realize everybody else was set in a particular area. So by the time they started, had to come up from the back of the room. So I lost about 15 seconds, and then I was trying to talk super quick then to make up the time on
Yeah.
it. But yeah, seemed to go.
That's brilliant. And was it? I suppose you've launched in the Republic, the North and the UK.
Yeah.
Did you launch in one before the other, or was it both at the same time?
No, so we have customers in both jurisdictions. Obviously, Ireland's a lovely wee test bed,
Yeah.
and it's quick and easy to get around. But actually, 70% of all global written premiums for cyber insurance are underwritten in London.
Yeah.
So actually, it's the UK that's a key strategic market for us, and it's just a bigger playing field. And
Yeah.
it's the usual. When it's not your local, it's sometimes easier to have a conversation.
Yeah. Was it hard to break into the UK at first, or because you'd won these awards and you had everything else behind you, that it was easier to break in, or
Well,
did that give you kind of credibility?
Well, I made a specific decision to network in the UK. So
Okay.
I went back and forward to London and got myself in with this particular group. And I've attended lots of events in different geographical regions in the UK. So we work quite a lot with that particular team, and then that validates who we are as a significant player. So there would be really serious cyber companies that come out of a particular sector in the UK, and being affiliated with that kind of puts us in a different level.
Okay. And is there a specific industry that you guys kind of go after? It's obviously insurance or finance. Do you help other companies, or?
So key target markets for us are actually the legal sector
Okay.
and financial services and manufacturing. Those are actually kind of the end users that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Whilst we would like the insurance industry as a customer, but those are the users because those are the people that we can really make a difference to on the ground.
Yeah. And as like a non-tech founder, essentially, right? Is it harder, do you think, or is it easier for you because you can just kind of give it to them straight? You can explain I suppose the snares and layman's terms as well, maybe.
Yeah,
Then I suppose the technical jargon that someone might not understand or might not care about really.
yeah. Well, I'll answer it in two ways. Okay, so first of all is like I don't like people being jargon heavy. Okay, I think there's nothing worse than somebody who's very technical who can't bring it down to the level of their audience, and in any subject area, whether that was in science or in security, I think that's just incredibly poor if you can't bring it down to meet your audience.
Yeah.
So I tend to use their language to help them understand the problem. The second thing, when you're saying non-technical, I got told off recently by somebody
Okay.
in a mixed group. All the females had, I suppose I started it. I says, "Hi, I'm Claire. I'm a non-technical founder."
Okay.
And the lady that was there said, "Stop that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
What do you mean non-technical? What even is that?"
Yeah.
And it's a female thing that
Okay.
you'll tend to come out and say, "Actually, I'm not technical," when you mean, "I actually don't have an academic background in cybersecurity or IT."
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're not technical. And she made a very good point about security in particular being almost like an orchestra. where it takes lots of different people and lots of different skill sets to get the end result. So some people will work in compliance. They don't have to be a pen tester.
Yeah.
You need people who can market the product. You need people who can sell and talk to your end customer. So there are lots of ways that everybody works together in cybersecurity to achieve an end goal, but it doesn't have to be the pen tester.
Yeah, exactly. So pre-sales architect. But yeah, because people don't understand how vast cybersecurity is. So you have anything from like your cybersecurity analyst, your security architect, your CISO, even in some stages, your IT auditor, and then your different kind of frameworks that you have to follow. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty vast.
So I always say that you have all those people that are fabulous in the office, right, and keep your business alive and really do the cutting edge stuff, but you don't let them out of the office.
Yeah.
They never go out to meet
No.
a customer. And then you've got your other team who don't need to understand all the really complicated stuff,
Yeah.
but they're the customer facing team and they're more human and you're happy enough to let them go.
Yeah, exactly. And anyone, right, that's like thinking about getting into cybersecurity, what advice would you give them?
Well,
Or cyber or information security?
yeah. So there are lots of different roles, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes what people forget is you don't have to be good at them all, right?
Yeah.
Pick the one that you enjoy. And if there's parts of cybersecurity that don't interest you and you think, I'll never get my head around it, that's okay. You don't have to work on that and you don't really need to know anything about it. There are experts there who'll do that. But my biggest piece of advice is get some practical IT experience. So I do a little bit of part-time lecturing in higher education for people who are looking to enter cybersecurity for the first time in a Kickstarter course.
Yeah.
And the number of them who've never had any IT experience but are trying to do something really complicated then with cyber. So if you don't understand generally how a network would come together or what is an access point or how software is normally installed, that means it's very hard for you to get up to speed quickly with some of the security side of things. So get some practical hands-on experience first.
Yeah. Like you say practical hands-on experience, is that like, picking up an old laptop and like looking on YouTube, or do you mean like going in trying to get an internship somewhere, or
a bit of both?
Yeah.
Like, some of the best people that you come across are people who just have a natural interest that built something in the bedroom. That kind of way. They've taken computers apart, they've put them back together, they've created themselves a little test environment online. They've had a play with some free softwares that are actually out there and they've been able to do some stuff. Some people then just volunteer for a week, maybe in a charity or in a community group, or go in with a small IT company and say, look, I'm looking just for a week or two experience just to get my head around general IT stuff. It's really difficult to come in and say, I'm looking to do security. Can I work with you for free? Because I'm not going to let you have access to all my really sensitive stuff.
That's not going to happen.
So you don't get a real experience. But if you're happy to say, look, I'm looking to learn about how we connect a network and how we add printers and how we set up users, they're willing to let you do that.
Yeah. Is there a course that you find that someone can do that will kind of give that experience before they kind of rock up and hand in a CV?
So there's a couple of the CompTIA courses, and I think it's eCollege at the minute actually have them on for free.
Okay.
They actually have them on for free. So, and it's all self-directed learning. So you can go on, register for it online, and they'll actually put you through the exam for free, which is phenomenal because they're normally like, €600-700 a piece.
Yeah, I think it's like, I won't say the college, but I think it's, as far as I know, it's like €1,600, and you do it for a couple of weekends. Over a couple of weeks, and then there's an exam at the end that you have to pay for. On the colleges you can do it for free.
But at the minute it's on free. Okay, so that's a good starting point because they'll have those in networking and in general IT, and then they have a security plus one, and then you can do a pen testing one. So there's quite a range of things that you can do. So at the minute, I think you register for one, and when you complete that one, then you can register for another one. But it's phenomenal that you can actually get to do that. And I think given that it's self-directed learning, it suits no matter what your background is. So if you're in a different job and you're looking to change direction, you can do it at the evenings or weekends, or when the kids go to bed, you can do a little bit on it. So it's so flexible at the minute.
Yeah, okay. It's good to know. I might do it myself. Grant. And what about the science thing? Are you glad that you've done that and you started off doing that and now you're where you are? Or if you could go back, would you change it and just do IT and cyber?
No, I wouldn't change it now because I don't think I would be where I am now without having taken that path. And I'm a great believer in everything is meant to be for a reason. You just don't always see it at the one time. So I naturally am quite analytical. And as I say, I'll poke and I'll hunt and I'll find information about things. I tend to look at things differently to the guys in the office, actually, who are all IT background. And I think the approach to analysing and innovation is different. So I definitely wouldn't change it.
Okay.
I think it puts me in good standing for where I am. But I'm always keen to uplearn again, upskill and learn further. So I keep joking about I'd love to go back and do another PhD.
Really?
I'd do another one in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Would you?
I know a couple of people with 2 doctorates, and that's bad. Like, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So you want to do 3?
try again, like 2.5 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair play.
Mm.
And so, what's next then for Claire and ITUS? What's on the radar?
Retirement, hopefully.
Bio.
Well, I have a great aspiration, and I tell everybody when we started the business, I had said, look, I wanted to retire at 50.
Yeah.
I suppose there comes a point in your life we've seen friends who have died really young, and you watch other people plan for retirement and never get there.
Yeah.
And I just think I'm not going to be like that. So, come hell or high water, at 50, I am going to retire.
Okay.
So this is push forward now so I'm 42 at the minute. So for the next
Oh, you're
6
up.
next 6 or 7 years is to push forward as much as we
That's fair,
can
that's fair.
to actually have a sensible exit at that point.
Okay. Yeah, it's fair. And is other countries or other markets on the horizon, or are you already there? Or
No, so America would be a key strategic marketplace for us for the product,
okay.
but we're open to traveling anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So funny, I was chatting with Guy in Dubai earlier in the week about the
Okay.
potential of looking for some direction in that particular sector. Um, Asia is a big market growth in cyber insurance at
Yeah.
the minute as well. So that's a potential target area for us as well. So the world is so small now, and because of COVID, everybody's really happy to jump on video calls. Pre-COVID, people didn't do that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
used to drive to Dublin for an hour meeting and then drive back again. But now you can kind of validate quite a lot before you actually have to put boots on the ground.
Yeah. Which is brilliant. Okay. Brilliant. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share? Or
No, I suppose the one thing I would say is don't be afraid to change direction in your career. Like,
yeah.
I did it, and as much as it scared me at the time and it was a little bit bumpy, I wouldn't change it.
Okay.
I wouldn't change it. And when I chat with other people who've stayed in the same career path, I think as bonkers as the days can be, I quite like the quality of life that I have as an entrepreneur. I
Yeah.
love meeting so many different people, different situations, learning from other people about their perspective of things in the world. And I think I would never have got that in my little box in the same job that I had.
Okay.
So it's definitely worth taking the jump.
Okay. Brilliant. Thanks very much for coming in, Claire. Much appreciated.
No problem. Thank
So
you.